Then we will also talk about that once we are planning to submit our article, we should always see the plagiarism in it, right? The article should not be plagiarized. We'll talk more on this. We'll also see that why we should acknowledge. We must learn the art of acknowledging the people. We'll talk about that. And then we will also see a new thing in research, that is reproducibility in research. And then we'll talk about referencing and style, and finally some tips and checklist for you. So I have mentioned all the slides in such a way that it will be very simple to you in understanding. Okay. Now, before I proceed, I must tell you that this is the book by Michael Alley, which is on craft of scientific writing. This is one of very good book which has been published. This is a fourth edition of Michael Alley, and I recommend you to follow this book if you are particularly interested in writing some of the research paper or technical writing. Now, coming to our important thing, that is what is the importance of writing a paper, or let's say technical paper, right? And before talking about why should we write it, we must understand why it is being difficult and why people are not writing it. So first of all, writing is tough, right? The article that I have showed you earlier are simply incident based article. Anyone can write it, right? Only you have to have very good English, right? Good communication skill, you can write it. Here also your English and communication skill is important, but you can, even if your English is not good, you can peer review it, right? But the art of writing is entirely different than your general incident based writing like newspaper and different other articles. Okay, so other thing that is came to notice that people think that what is the benefit of writing these papers, what is the benefit in writing the technical article, right? I am not getting any monetary benefit, why should I write it, right? And the next problem is with the newcomers who think of technical writing is that there is nothing to write about. What should they write? They don't have any idea, right? So that is what it makes difficult for the newcomers to write. Then the process of writing a technical article takes too long. It is take too long to write an article, and it requires a huge patience in writing a single paper, right? So therefore, general the time frame of writing a paper around 6 to 7 months, right? It will take around 6 to 7 months. Therefore, it requires a huge amount of time and patience to write a paper. So in day to day also, if talk about own general life of any person, he has to play, he has to read his subject, he has to do some other work, and apart from that, he has to write also, right? So it takes a huge amount of time. Now, come to our important thing, that why should we write, right? Now, number one point, as you can see, if it is not written, it does not exist. You may have done very good work, you may have a good research acumen, but if you will not write it, if you will not communicate, the work that is in your mind that you have done will not exist at all, right? Nobody knows about it. So therefore, you must write it, right? Then the writing will give you awards. It will be beneficial to your career. It will give you huge amount of recognition among the research group and peer groups, right? Then it will also allow you to jointly solve the scientific problem. People in the research community will know that there is some person who is having same area which we are having, and they will try to collaborate with you and try to solve some problems which are scientifically based, right? As you can see in COVID scenario also, various researchers throughout the world have collaborated with different universities throughout the world, and try to find a solution, and which has come up in a big way as a COVID vaccine. Now, next point is that it is a assess of it is measured to assess the research capability of the person, right? So if you are new, you will write a paper, and slowly and gradually you will write more papers, right? And that effort of your work will help you to judge other people to know about your research capabilities. And I will show you in the last slide that how a research capability of the person can be judged. Then these paper will also allow you to attend the conferences around the world, right? If you wish to attend a conference, there are a lot of conferences floating around in different areas, right? You can attend those conferences by writing a research paper. Otherwise, you must have a big name in the industry, then only they will call you. Otherwise, you must have to write a paper, and this conference will allow you to know more about the people working in that area, right? Now, next is to share the research result. Suppose you have done some work, good work, and you wish to share it. What is the medium? The medium is technical paper, right? No need to contact the other researcher. They will see your work and they will be contacting you, right? You don't have to contact them. So this is how a research community will be built to get views for improvement of your research. Once you write a technical paper, it will be peer reviewed, right? Peer reviewed by different uh, reviewers, and they will give you certain views on how you can improve that paper, right? So technical paper has a long journey before it get published. You will also write the technical paper for getting some degree like PhD that I have got, right? So for getting a degree, I had to publish 4 papers, and then a degree requires paper, right? So this is the reason we should actually focus on writing the technical paper. Any one of the reason that suits you most, you are welcome to write a paper. Next, now research and technical writing has a big linkage, right? A research is typically hunting for the facts or truth about the subject. You may have lot of area floating around, right? But you have to choose one of the fascinating area that you like. Then you hunt for the facts, you do some experiment, find out the truth, and then you organize your scientific investigation to solve problem, right? Once you do that, you have to also test it. Whatever hypothesis you have proposed, you must test it, right? Or your research may have also the potential to develop or invent some of the new products, right? And therefore, once you are able to do these two things, right, that means you are involved in the research. Once you have produced something new, either it's a new concept or a new product, then you must write it. Otherwise, it will be lost in the air, right? So what is technical writing? The technical writing is basically a purpose to inform and convey your work to the research community, right? There is a research community which is existing in your area. There are a lot of area, like you can say electric vehicle, batteries, or any other areas like gas hydrates, unconventional resources of energy. There may be different type of area, right? So you must choose one area, you do some work on that, and once you get some good findings, you must inform and convey it to the journal, right? And then journal will allot some of the reviewers particularly working on the same area. They will review your work, and you will able to publish it, and that comes under persuasion. So persuasion means the reviewer will ask you questions, right? They will throw you questions. There may be 4 or 5 reviewers particularly, and you have to persuade them. You have to inform that whatever you have investigated, whatever you have developed is new, is novel, or if it is not novel, it is a development than the other existing method, right? So in this way, you have to, there's this technical writing uh, have two purpose, mainly information and conveying, and persuasion. Persuasion to whom? To our reviewers, right? So before you have understood it, now we'll go to what is the time, right? What is the suitable time we should write a paper, right? And as mentioned, good decision at suitable times means success. If you wish to write something, you must have certain solution, right? Solution which are close to any problem, right? So if you have a problem, you have find out the solution, you must write it, right? If you'll not write it, your work can be done by some other people, right? They may take the credit. So as soon as you get something new, you must write it in the form of technical paper. Before that, I will tell you that before going to the structure, right, we must understand these things before we talk about the structure of technical paper. Also, you must know that the work that you have done, right, it must have a strong theoretical basis, right? It must go through peer review. Once it goes to the peer review, they will inform you about the strength, right? If it is not containing much strength in their theoretical knowledge, it may be rejected, right? But if you think it has a good sound theoretical basis and it has a good volume of work, you must communicate it to a journal, a conference, or some letters which are called rapid communication letters. So I will tell you also the time frame for which these you can expect some time frame for journals, you can expect some time frame for conference and rapid communication letters, and those time frame will be given in one table, right? I'll show you that soon. Now, once I talk about conferences, these conferences are throughout the year, but each conferences are time bound, right? There is certain time allotted between submission of the abstract to the date of the conference, right? So once you submit the abstract, they will scrutinize it, and then finally they will ask you to present it, right? So there is some time frame, limited time frame, and this happens very fast generally, right? But these journals and rapid communication are open throughout the year. You wish to submit in the month of May, you can submit. If you wish to submit in the month of June, you can submit it, right? So there is no time frame where you can submit it, right? Now coming to the structure, right? Here you can see one of the paper where the title is shown. Now the selection of title, right, is totally depend on the author, but it must be very catchy and short, right? It is not like you have produced a title of 3 lines, 4 lines, right? That means the uh, the editor which first sees your topic, right, will immediately may reject it, right? So therefore your topic or title of the paper, technical paper, must be strong enough in order to convince in the first sight, right? And the abstract is just a face, right? A face value of the paper, right? So somebody will seize it first, and then they will think of reading the complete paper, right? So abstract is generally, you may have seen that once you Google any paper, you will see only abstract, not the complete body of the paper, right? Once you read it, you will decide whether should I go for reading the complete paper or not. So this abstract should be very clearly scientifically written, and also it should be like a puzzle to those who are reading it, right? You should not produce entire result in your abstract, right? And it should be written in such a way that person reading your paper, right, must go through the entire paper, right? So that is how the abstract should be written. Then the next body is introduction, right? I will talk more about this in the next slide. Then comes method and experiments, followed by result and discussion. Finally, you have conclusion, right? And then you will talk about future work either separately or in the conclusion itself, right? So this is how the work is written. Then comes the acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge, right? What you have to acknowledge, I will tell you soon. But after acknowledgement, you have citation or references. Whatever you have claimed, whatever you have written must be supported by evidence, right? So these evidence are nothing but your references. And finally, your length of the paper is limited, right? So for different journals, different guidelines are there, right? So based on those guidelines, you must write your paper, right? Some journal says limit only to 16 pages or limit only to 3,000 words. In that case, you can present your some of the portion of the work in appendices, right? Or you can say supplementary information. So this is how the structure of paper would be there, right? So this is a general method of presenting any paper. But in case of review paper, the flow may slightly differ, right? For that, I will tell you that you must refer to any of the review paper. There are a lot of review paper in the internet. You must go through it, and this is like something like a book chapter, right? So you must read that. Now, as I said, abstract. In abstract, you must mention the problem statement. What are your main findings and important conclusion? You should not mention everything in your abstract. Otherwise, the flavor of your whole work will go away, right? So you must be strategize in such a way that the abstract should be catchy and not do not reveal every information in the abstract, right? So this is how the abstract is written. It must be of one page, not more than that, right? There for different journals, there are word limit also that it must limit to 300 or 500 words only, right? So you have to write in a such a way that it should be short, sweet, and do not reveal any information. Not any information, much information. That would be appropriate word. Now the introduction is very important, right? So whenever your work is submitted to any journal, the introduction carries a very important role. So the editor who will be seeing your paper will not go to the entirely work. First, he will read your title, abstract, and few portion of the introduction, where he will decide whether he will keep your paper for further review or not, right? So introduction carries a very important part in your writing, right? So what you should write in the introduction? Now introduction has people write different things introduction, right? So you must limit your words first, right? So introduction must not be more than 2 to 3 pages if it's a research article, right? If it's a research article, particularly evidence-based article or experimental or simulation-based article, don't exceed more than 2 pages, right? That is I recommend from my side, but different authors have may have different view. So what makes your introduction? It is a base of your research. First, you have to make a base of your research. What you are trying to say must relate to your research, what you are going to do, right? So throughout your writing in the introduction, you are actually able to get knowledge in the relevant field, right? Because you may have writing this paper first time, right? So what you are doing, you are actually gaining the knowledge. You gain the knowledge by reviewing different papers, right? That is called literature review. So literature review here it is shown separately, but it's not separate. This is a part of introduction. So in introduction itself, you have to write the literature survey. You have to find out what is the state of the art in that field. What is the progress that has been in that field, right? And finally, you identify the gap, right? You identify what has been not done, what you are trying to do, and why you are motivated. That you have to state, and then what you are trying to do. That you have to explain into the introduction within the 2 page limit. You can go to 2.5 page also, but I recommend for a good journal, good quality journals, you have to write in not more than 2 pages, short and crisp, right? That is how you have to write the introduction. Now comes methodology. Methodology is a very important part of any research article, because here you have to explain how you have collected your data. What is the method that you have applied in collecting your data, right? What is the precision and the accuracy with which you have acquired your data, right? So that is what you have to explain each and everything about process of data collection in the methodology. Then comes the techniques of data analysis. You may have collected the data, but what is the technique that has gone behind it in collecting the data? So you have to explain that also, right? Now, the main part of the research article is very important, is the research and results and discussion. Here, each and every results, plots, figures, tables, right, has to come in research results and discussion. Your finding must be reviewed. You must explain your graph individually, right, the tables individually, and then you discuss what is the outcome of your work, right? And if something new has happened, you have to propose a hypothesis and stake a claim on your work. That is the purpose of writing results and discussion, right? So in this result and discussion, you are entirely responsible in writing this part, right? You have to write more scientifically, more accurately, more crisply, right, in this result and discussion. The result and discussion should be written in past tense, right? And abstract and conclusion must be written in present tense. This is what a general trend is, right, of writing result and discussion, abstract and conclusion, right? So this is how the whole structure is there. Now coming to conclusion. In conclusion, what you have to do, you have to sum up your findings. Whatever findings, important findings are there, you must state that in your conclusion, right? And then you have to put various significance of your outcomes. You have to give the application based knowledge in conclusions. What is the application of your work in the industry, right? And what is the societal impact? If it is there, it will give you a very strong hand in writing the conclusion, right? And then you must write about the limitations and the future recommendations of your work. What do you recommend the other researchers to do in future, right? What you have not done in this work, you must clearly state, right? So that is what you have to write in conclusion. That is also written in a similar way as that of abstract. You can also write this in point wise, right? If you write in point wise, that will give you an upper hand, more clear statement in writing the conclusion, right? Next come is the acknowledgement. Now you may have taken help of various agencies in working, right? You may have utilized some of the equipment in different places, like mostly people utilize the equipment from IITs, some other institution like CCART, right? And you may take help of your inter departments also, right? So you must acknowledge that. Acknowledgement makes you wise, right? It does not means that if you'll not acknowledge, people will say you something. No, people will not say you anything. But a good researcher will always acknowledge, right? Suppose your friend has helped you, right? You must acknowledge that your friend has helped you, right? So don't take this as a compulsory statement, but acknowledgement is highly preferred in the research community. Right? Then comes references. Now, don't underestimate references. References are very strong, carries very strong number, right? Strong point in your paper. If you have unscientifically given the references, there is a 90% chance that your paper is rejected, right? So at least you follow some of the rules that are there for references. I will tell you those rules very soon in coming slides. right? If I am out of time, please inform me, guys. Okay. Now, as I said, where you should submit, right? Where you should submit your article. So there are various journals, right? You have to identify at least 10, 20 journals in your area. The better way to identify, either go to Scopus, Web of Science, where you write the keywords of your work, and based on those keywords, some of the journals will appear, right? From those journals, shortlist at least 10 to 20 journals, and then you start writing on those journals, right? Choose any one of those journals and start preparing as per the format of that journal, right? So be aware of popular journals and conferences of your area of research. That is what I just said. Now, based on the quartiles, right? Q1, Q2, Q4, Q3, Q4, there are four quartiles which have been divided, right? So always target. If you have done a good work, you have an idea, right? What is the strength of your work? So based on that strength, right, you must target Q1 and Q2 journals. It is very hard to get published in Q1 journals. Therefore, mostly researcher target Q2 and Q3 journals, right? So the kind of peer review that goes into Q1 journal is very typical, very hard, right? So therefore, mostly Q2 and Q3 journals are preferred, right? Now, as I said, conferences, you need 4 to 6 pages of description, right? Which includes the body, the structure that I have shown earlier. Journals must be greater than 8 pages, right? 8 is the minimum limit. I mean, it should go up to 40 pages also, right? But the typical length of the journal should be greater than 8 pages, right? 8 pages in Word that we typically write, right? Not in the journal format like this. In this format, it goes up to 7 to 8 pages, right? But what we write actually in Word, it will go up to 40 pages. Then it will be converted by the journal people in 6 to 7 pages only, right? So the minimum limit is 8. You can go up to 40, 50 pages, right? Now this letter are very short communication. If you have very strong finding, you have very noble idea of your experiment, right? You can write in the form of letters, right? And these letters of 2 to 4 pages, and this will take very less time to get published, right? If it is really a good idea, right? So this is how you can read about it, how you can pick out the right journal. I have told you. Then you have to at least find out 10, 20 journals in your area, right? Even 10 will work. And then you target Q1 and Q2 journals, right? Based on your work. If you have done very extremely good work, you think it's a strong work, just go to Q2 and Q3 journals, right? Q1 is very difficult to publish, but why not to target, right? If it's a good work. Now, coming to the most important part, plagiarism, right? Generally, the writing requires your own and your own knowledge, right? You should not write other work or copy directly from the literature which is given, right? So plagiarism carries a very important role. It is a serious offense in paper writing. If you have done plagiarism and if it is detected somehow by the journal, then you will see such type of retraction, right, in the paper. You may Google it. There are a lot of paper which are being retracted, even from the very good institute in the India. Very, very good institute. I will not name them, but you will see the article where the paper has got retracted. And this is uh, what to say, it is a big fall in the career of a researcher, right? एक काला धब्बा बोल सकते हैं वो, right? Retraction. Okay. Now, why the paper get retracted? Either you have taken the material from other papers, right? You may have used the figure of other papers, right, which is already published without the permission of the journals, You may have copied the content from the paper, right? And also, if you have your own paper published, you cannot copy it from it, right? You have to take permission from the journal. Otherwise, there is large chances that it may get retracted, right? And what is falsification? Falsification means you are manipulating some of the result, your own results. You are manipulating it, right? You may have been manipulating the work which is already published, and you may have quoting the other work as your own work, right? So this is called falsification. So the trick that I want to give you here is that be original, right? What you are writing, write by your own, be original and don't plagiarize, right? There is highly sophisticated software that are there in the market which will immediately detect from where you are copying, right? So I want to show you here one of the paper of where the plagiarism is detected, right? So here, suppose, let's say this line, right? This line is looking copied. Even you have manipulated some of the sentence here, right? This whole line is copied, and if you click here, this will directly tell you from where it has been copied, right? So see, okay. So this software is called Turnitin software, where this will directly tell you from where it has been copied, right? It's very strong software. So now the chances of cheating has reduced, right? Even though people will uh, particularly follow this cheating in pasting the figures, right? Figures are generally not detected, but there are the cases where it has been found that the papers have been copied, the photos have been copied, and then you will see such kind of retraction in that paper, right? So you must see this retraction. What is this? From where top institutes in India this type of retraction has happened, right? You may see it, but the outcome that I want to state you here is that be original, don't try to plagiarize, right? Now the acknowledgement. Suppose this is one of the figure that you have taken, right, from some et al. Like Gupta et al. 2008, right? So before writing this, even if you write it, this may be likely to get plagiarized. Sorry, I'm talking about acknowledgement. So suppose you are acknowledging this figure, you must write that this has been taken from American Chemical Society Gupta L 2008 with a prior permission, right? This is called acknowledgement, and the acknowledgements also come in this way that suppose you have done some work in some lab, right? You must acknowledge that lab that this work has been done at P lab, Pandit Deen Dayal Petroleum University, Gandhinagar. Right? So such type of acknowledgement must be there in acknowledgement section. Suppose you are doing that work under ORSP or DST project, so you must write down the project number in the acknowledgement, and must thank the DST that they have given you certain money that you are able to perform this work. So this type of thing is called acknowledgement. You must acknowledge, right? Now coming to referencing. So this is one of the reference which is given for a book publication, where you see you have to cite the reference number, then the different authors, then the title, then the book title of the book, and then in which edition it is published, and where it is published, right? So that is what you have to write in the title, sorry, in the caption. That is called reference. Now, differencing is of two styles generally followed in the paper. One style is this type of referencing, where you will see numbers in the text, right? 13, 14, 15. And then finally, you will see this number will appear in the reference list, 14, 15. That means 14 is this reference, 15 is this reference, right? Now, this is called Vancouver style. Right? There is other style which is called American physiological I forgot the complete elaboration of that, but this is also called parenthetical, right? Where you will see that in bracket you have different authors, right? And these authors are also appearing in the referent list, right? But here the names, sorry, the number, reference number is not given. This follows the alphabetical order, right? So the earlier one is not following alphabetical order. This is following numbers, but here in the reference list, it is following alphabetical order. And in the reference, you will see in brackets, the different authors are appearing. So this is called referencing, right? You must follow any one of the reference depending on the requirement of the journal. Now, reproducibility in the research is a new term which is coming up, because sometimes you think that why somebody has represented my work, why he's trying to regenerate my work, right? He may use your data, he may use your figures, tables. He is a third person who is using your data, right? So you must allow that, because that increases your credibility of the paper that you have already published, and then it will lead to the increase in citation of your work, right? So more is the citation of your work, that means your presence in the research community is increasing, right? That is what the meaning of citation is. Now, just two more slides are there. This is my own paper, right? Now, you can see there are some two reviewers have reviewed it, and one reviewer has commented that there is some lack of results not properly mentioned, and he has rejected it. Reviewer third has rejected, and reviewer four has also said that this paper having some error in the spelling, like this you can see hydrate bearing, B-E-A-R-I-N-G, instead of B-E-A-R-I-N-G, B-E-R-I-N-G is written. So just on the basis of title, this is rejected, right? This paper has got rejected. Okay, then what I followed, I considered those comment properly given by reviewer 3 and 4. So above is the first and 2 is the reviewer 3 and reviewer 4. Other reviewers have given good comments. I have not shown that, but reviewer 3 and 4 has negatively comment, and just based on that, this paper has got rejected. And finally, a good journal, then I have submitted considering the reviews from the previous paper. Then I have considered those comments, and then I resubmitted to other journal. And what I found that, see the comments. The comments are the paper is well organized, data support the statement made in conclusion. So without any hesitation, we can accept this. Reviewer 2 also said like this, right? So once your paper get rejected, don't worry. This is actually a alarm for you that where you can improve, right? So the improvement margin is given by once you are rejected, right? So rejection is a common phenomena in the research community. You must accept the rejection, and more rejection means more and more quality of your paper will increase. Think in that way, right? Instead of demoralizing, think in that way. So finally, I want to give you some tips and checklist. So before you write a paper, you must identify topic of interest, which you feel it relates to your interest, right? You must be totally involved in that work, and it must have some societal impact also. It must be related to some industry, right? Then the aura of your work will increase. And finally, you must before you are working on some area, you must write some review paper, so that you must gain the knowledge in that area. And one good tip that I can give you is that if you are wishing to write a paper, write one paragraph each day, right? And your paper may be completed in 30 days, right? So if you are writing a review paper, you can write in this way. Even if you are writing a research article, one paragraph each day will work out, right? Now, before you submit your paper to a journal, you must follow these checklist, which is given here, that summary does not exceed the word limit for the journals. So you will find a author guideline, whatever journal you are wish to submit, and then you follow this checklist before you proceed to submit or in any journal, right? Now, one thing I want to state that the best way to understand whatever I have said appears to be simple, maybe appears to be hard, right? But the best way to understand the technical writing is to go through the process, right? Once you will not go through the process, you will again you have to attend such lectures, right? So therefore, what I wish that you must go through the process of technical writing, write a small paper and try to publish it. Automatically, the improvement in your work will go on, right? So that is what I want to share. And this is one of the top researcher from IIT Madras, right, where I want to show you the profile who has good visibility in the research community. You can see the citation he has around 30,371 citation. This is very huge number, right? And H index also says about the research impact of that person, right? So this is how the research presence of a particular researcher among the community is shown by these numbers, right? If you have any doubt, any questions, please let me know. Thank you very much, IADC, for this opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Please, guys, and ask. You can simply write it in the chat box. I'll read out for them for you.
No questions?
I guess not, sir. So it was a it was a insightful session, sir. I would like to thank you on behalf of the IADC student chapter and all the attendees who care to join and learn. We hope that all of you can get your papers published in the near future and wish good luck for the same. Do join us again tomorrow, where we have another webinar lined up for you on gas while drilling. So stay tuned and good. Take care.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much, students. IADC. Okay. Thank you. I'm leaving now. Okay. Bye.
Turn on your camera. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Shall I turn on my camera? My background is not okay.
It would be okay, sir. I would request all the attendees to do the same for a quick screenshot.
Okay.
Can you stop sharing your screen?
Turn off your screens. Am I visible?
Yes, sir, you are visible.
Okay. Do send me this snapshot.
Definitely, sir, definitely.
Okay. Thank you very much. Shall I leave?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Leave, I will take screenshots.
Recording will be uploaded on the IADC YouTube channel, so you can get it from there. And the PPT will be uploaded. We'll talk to sir, and if he agrees, we will upload it on our channel. Is it okay, Virag?